3 days before the SAT, someone was handing out energy drinks outside the school, claiming it sharpened one's mind and guaranteed high scores on exams. Sasha Jepsen climbed onto a chair and called out to the whole class, "Hurry downstairs and get one. They'll be gone if you wait. Drink it, and your brain will work faster than anyone else's." In my previous life, I insisted on stopping them. "This product isn't even regulated, and there's no manufacturer listed. Don't drink it. What if something is wrong with it?" I said no one appreciated what I was trying to do. They accused me of being jealous and said I was secretly trying to take the top spot for myself. I couldn't talk them out of it, so I went to my homeroom teacher. She confiscated the entire batch and told everyone not to fall for these shady shortcuts. Sasha didn't even meet the minimum score for college admission. She posted a long rant on Facebook, crying that I stole her energy drink and left her unable to think clearly. During the SAT, the whole class turned on me. If Willow Lawson hadn't meddled, we would have gotten into college. After drinking that stuff, all their hatred came crashing down on me, and I endured 2 months of their bullying before finally jumping from the 18th floor. When I opened my eyes again, I was back at the exact moment Sasha was standing on a chair. Calling out to everyone, I sat in the corner without even looking up. Let's see what kind of incredible scores they get after drinking this stuff. Less than 10 minutes later, the students came pouring back into the classroom with plastic bottles in hand. Some twisted open their bottles and took a sip. They smacked their lips and said, "It's a little sweet." Others stuffed theirs into their bags, saving them for the SAT. Sasha Jepsen went even further. She carried an armful of the drinks, leaving a bottle on every empty desk. When she reached my desk, she put on a perfectly convincing look of regret and spoke in a sickly sweet voice. "Oh, Willow, I think I gave yours to someone else." She bit her lip, wearing an expression that said she was very sorry. "It's all my fault. I was in such a hurry that I didn't count them properly." Then she continued. "When we came back up, the stall looked like they were about to pack up. If you hurry downstairs and ask them now, maybe they'll still have a bottle for you." I shot a glance at her. She could barely hide her smile, and the gloating in her eyes was almost impossible to miss. This wasn't the first time she had done this. Whenever there was something for the whole class and I wasn't around, she would always find some perfectly reasonable excuse to leave me out. As class president, I used to put the class first and let things slide. I dealt with these little problems on my own, but this time I couldn't be bothered. I turned to the next page of my workbook and looked up at Sasha. "No thanks," I smiled. "Keep it for yourself. Drink up." The smile on Sasha's face froze. Before she could react, a mocking voice came from behind me. "Our class president has such high standards. Why would Willow want some cheap freebie?" A few guys swaggered over, and the one in front gave me a sideways look. "Sasha, why do you even bother? You're just embarrassing yourself trying to be nice to her." Seeing that she had found her reinforcements, Sasha immediately put on a pitiful look. "Willow, what are you upset about? I told you I didn't do it on purpose. Why are you being so petty?" she asked. "I just thought that since we're classmates, we should share the good stuff. Aren't you tired of always keeping to yourself?" Her tone made it sound like I was some horrible person just because I refused to take the free energy drink. I couldn't be bothered to argue with her, so I looked back down at my work, but they refused to let it go. At Sasha's quiet prompting, the guys even came over and tried to pull me to my feet. "Come on, Willow, it's just a quick trip downstairs. Don't make this unpleasant for everyone." I couldn't help but scoff. In my previous life, I tried to stop them out of concern, but they accused me of being unable to stand seeing other people do well. This time I chose to stay out of it. Yet they were determined to force this mystery drink down my throat. Just as they were about to touch me, I slapped my pen down and looked straight at Sasha. "Sasha, what I drink is none of your business," I said. "Is this some kind of magic potion? If I drink it, can I pick any top college I want? If it works that well, I'll report it to the school office right away. We can ask the principal to get a case for every student and teacher. How does that sound?" Sasha's face instantly turned bright red. She knew better than anyone that if the teachers got involved, she would be the one in trouble. After all, I had always been at the top of my grade, so the teachers had favored me. If things were blown out of proportion, the homeroom teacher would see right through her shady schemes to form her own little clique. Sasha rolled her eyes in frustration and spat through clenched teeth. "I was only trying to help you, and this is how you treat me. I was only reminding you because I considered you my best friend. No wonder no one wants anything to do with you." Hearing that, I let out a scornful laugh. "Really think going along with you would make these people accept me?" Caught in her lie, Sasha went pale. Her lips trembled, but she couldn't get a word out. Sasha looked embarrassed and turned to whisper with the people beside her. It was clear she was talking about me behind my back. But before she could say much, our homeroom teacher, Carl Lester, walked in. Carl frowned as he looked around at the chaos in the classroom. Then he walked to the front and said sternly, "The SAT is coming up. Focus on your studies. I'll say it again. Watch what you eat and drink. Don't consume anything from an unknown source. If it upsets your stomach and affects your performance, it won't be worth it." As soon as he said that, the whole class turned to look at me. Sasha was quick to make a snide remark. "Don't worry, Mr. Lester, our energy drinks are perfectly safe. I just wonder if some people can keep their mouths shut." Students around her immediately chimed in. "Yeah, we all drink it and we're wide awake. We're not like some people who just have to be different. Just wait till they get sleepy during the SAT. It'll be too late to regret it." Then I stayed in my seat, unfazed and with no intention of defending myself. Carl gave us a few more reminders about the SAT, then left the classroom. The moment he left, Sasha came over to my desk wearing that same phony smile. "Willow, surely you'll want to listen to Mr. Lester. Being in top shape for the SAT is what matters most," she said. "Don't let your pride ruin your future. If you apologize to everyone, we'll get you a bottle. How about it?" Seeing that look on her face, I couldn't help but laugh. If they wanted to treat some mysterious drink like it was precious, that was their choice. I wasn't about to risk my future over it. Worst case, I would get a good night's sleep the day before the SAT. If I brought a strong coffee with me, there was no way I would be sleepy. It was better to rely on myself and be fully prepared than to depend on others. I packed my bag and walked straight out of the classroom. The pop-up drink stand was still set up by the roadside. The vendor spotted me and immediately waved me over. "Miss, try our miracle energy drink. It'll keep you sharp and guarantee you'll ace the SAT." I took the bottle when I got home. I opened it and took a small sip. It was sweet with a strange herbal taste. I didn't drink any more after that one sip. I screwed the cap back on. 3 hours later, I realized something that sent a chill down my spine. My memory had started to go blank for short periods. I had just memorized a poem and gone over it several times, but once I closed the book, my mind went blank. I couldn't remember the lines at all. Another hour passed, and the feeling slowly faded. My memory came back. I stared at the bottle of energy drink and finally understood. This wasn't a supplementary drink that sharpened your mind. It was a short-term memory blocker. By the time the SAT was over, the memories would come back. One would just think, I know I studied this, so why can't I remember it? There would be no way to prove what happened. That was the worst part. In my previous life, I tried to stop them, and they blamed me for meddling. This time I decided not to stop them. They chose this path themselves. They could see it through. The night before the SAT, I sat at my desk and checked everything I needed for the next day. I had my SAT admission ticket, photo ID, all the usual school supplies, and a thermal flask filled with black coffee I brewed myself. I stared at the coffee briefly, then took a spare pen from my drawer and stuck a small marker on the bottom of the flask. The next morning I grabbed my bag and headed out. As luck would have it, Sasha and a few of her followers had been assigned to the same test center. As soon as I walked through the entrance, she hurried over. I tried to walk around her, and she shoved a bottle of the energy drink into my hands. Hello, we're about to go in. Why are you still being stubborn? She asked. I went out of my way to secure this for you. Drink it. It'll keep your mind sharp during the SAT. The cheap plastic packaging made my stomach tighten. I took a step back and said firmly, take it away. I don't need it. And mind your own business. But Sasha wouldn't let up. She grabbed my wrist and held on tight. Why are you so impossible? This is something the whole class is doing. Do you really have to be the odd one out? She asked. As we struggled, one of the teachers in charge, Henry Gould, came over and stopped us. Enough. The SAT is about to start. Get your things ready. With Henry here, I pulled free from Sasha and moved to his side. Sasha was livid. She stomped her foot and stormed away. Henry looked over at the crowd and took my backpack. Willow, go up front and help everyone find their assigned rooms. I'll hold your bag for you. I nodded and pushed my way through the crowd. After noting down the room numbers for several classmates, I quickly made my way back. But when I returned, the backpack I had left with Henry was gone. Henry explained that he had stepped away to take a call, and Sasha offered to hold the bag for him, but now Sasha was nowhere to be seen. My SAT admission ticket, photo ID, and all my school supplies were in that bag. Cold sweat instantly drenched my back. I looked around in a panic, nearly going to a police officer for help. Just before security checks began, Sasha rushed out from behind a large tree. Out of breath, she roughly shoved my backpack into my arms. Willow, where have you been? The SAT is about to start, and you're still wandering around, she said. I grabbed my backpack and unzipped it. The coffee was still there, but the marker on the bottom of the thermal flask had misaligned. Sasha had opened it. I unscrewed the lid and smelled it. There was a faint sweetness in the coffee, exactly like the energy drink. I stared at the coffee for 2 seconds before looking at Sasha. She was already walking toward the testing entrance. I didn't call her back. Instead, I quietly poured the coffee onto the grass. Then I pulled my phone from my pocket and checked the time. 7 minutes until security closed the doors. I still had my ID. My admission ticket was there too. Nothing essential was missing. Sasha had made one mistake. She had assumed I would drink it. I slipped the flask into the side pocket of my bag and walked toward the security line. A few minutes later, we were seated in the testing room. The proctor explained the rules, checked our IDs, and placed the answer sheets on our desks. Then the clock started. I opened the test booklet. The first reading passage was familiar. I knew exactly what it was about. The answers came easily. Then I looked across the room. Sasha was staring at her first page. She had been bragging for weeks about how prepared she was. Now she was biting the end of her pencil. Her eyes kept moving between the question and the ceiling. One of her friends raised his hand. Can I use the bathroom? The proctor shook his head. You'll have to wait until the section ends. He lowered his hand. 10 minutes later, another student started sweating. Then another. Nobody said anything, but I could see it happening. The drink wasn't making them smarter. It was taking away the exact information they needed. Sasha suddenly turned toward me. Our eyes met. Her expression changed. She had remembered something. Yesterday, she had told everyone that the drink only needed to be taken before the test. But she had secretly drunk 2 bottles. She had been terrified of getting an ordinary score. Now she couldn't remember half of what she had studied. Her face went pale. She looked down at her paper and began writing random answers. I kept working. When the first section ended, the students were allowed a short break. The hallway erupted. I can't remember anything. I studied this yesterday. Why can't I solve this? My head feels completely empty. Sasha pushed through the crowd and grabbed my arm. You knew. I pulled away. Knew what? You knew the drink was dangerous. Her voice was shaking. I looked at her calmly. Did I? You. She stopped. Because she knew exactly what she had done. She had handed me the drink herself. She had taken my bag. She had tampered with my coffee. And if she admitted what she had done, she'd have to explain why. Before she could say anything else, Henry Gould approached. What's going on? Sasha immediately changed her expression. Nothing. Willow and I were just talking. I smiled. Actually, Mr. Gould, I think there's something you should see. I opened my bag and pulled out the thermal flask. Then I showed him the marker I had placed underneath it the night before. The line was clearly misaligned. Henry frowned. What is that? Someone opened my coffee before the SAT. Sasha's face strained of color. Henry looked at her. Who had access to your bag? I answered before she could. According to Mr. Gould, Sasha volunteered to hold it while he stepped away. The hallway went completely quiet. Several students looked at Sasha. She immediately shook her head. I didn't put anything in it. I never said you did. Her mouth snapped shut. I continued. I said someone opened it. Henry took the flask from me. He smelled it. His expression changed immediately. There's something sweet in this. Sasha took a step backward. Then one of her friends suddenly shouted. Wait. Everyone turned. The boy pulled his own energy drink from his backpack. Mine tastes exactly like that. Henry's face became serious. Where did you get these? Outside the school. Who sold them? Nobody answered. That was when the second problem appeared. A student stumbled out of the testing room. He was pale and trembling. I can't remember my name. Everyone froze. The proctor rushed over. What did you say? I know my name, the student whispered. I just can't remember it right now. Another student started crying. The testing center immediately suspended the exam. Within 20 minutes, teachers, administrators, and emergency personnel were flooding the building. The energy drinks were collected. Students were questioned. And then security checked the exterior cameras. The footage showed exactly what happened. Sasha had approached the vendor repeatedly. She had bought several cases. She had also returned to the stall alone shortly before the SAT. The vendor was nowhere to be found. But the cameras caught Sasha handing something to him. When the principal saw the footage, his expression hardened. Sasha Jepsen. She began crying. It wasn't supposed to hurt anyone. Everyone stared at her. She wiped her tears. I just wanted everyone to do badly, so Willow wouldn't be the only person getting into a good college. The hallway exploded. You poisoned us because of her? You made me drink 2 bottles. I can't remember half my studying. You ruined my SAT. Sasha backed against the wall. Then she pointed at me. She knew too. I raised an eyebrow. What did I know? You knew something was wrong. Yes. That single word stunned her. I continued. I knew because I tasted it. Her eyes widened. You drank it. 1 sip. And you knew. I noticed something was wrong several hours later. Henry looked at me. Why didn't you tell anyone? I looked at Sasha. Because the last time I tried to warn everyone, they blamed me. Sasha's face turned white. For once, she had nothing to say. The investigation continued for weeks. The vendor disappeared. The drink had no registered manufacturer, no legitimate ingredient label, and no authorization for sale. The school contacted every student's parents. The SAT center arranged a retest for everyone affected. As for Sasha, the school suspended her pending investigation. Her friends stopped defending her. The same people who had called me jealous now refused to sit beside her. Then something unexpected happened. The police found the vendor. And when they searched his phone, they discovered messages between him and Sasha. There were dozens. One message from Sasha was especially clear. Make sure Willow drinks it too. I stared at the screenshot. My stomach turned. She hadn't simply wanted me to fail. She had planned to make sure I lost the one thing I had protected in my previous life, my future. I looked at Sasha across the disciplinary hearing. She was crying again. But this time, nobody comforted her. The principal read the message aloud. Then he looked directly at her. Sasha, do you understand what you did? She lowered her head. I was jealous. No, I said quietly. Everyone looked at me. I smiled. You weren't jealous of my score. Sasha slowly lifted her eyes. You were afraid I would succeed without you. Her lips trembled. And this time, I continued. I did. 3 weeks later, I walked into the SAT retest. This time, nobody handed me a mystery drink. Nobody touched my bag. Nobody tried to sabotage my coffee. I finished every section with time to spare. When the scores were released, I opened the results page alone. My score was even higher than the one I had earned in my previous life. I stared at the screen. Then I laughed. I hadn't needed Sasha's permission. I hadn't needed her approval. And I certainly hadn't needed her miracle drink. I had simply needed another chance. Sasha eventually received the consequences of her actions. The school expelled her. Her college applications were withdrawn. The vendor was charged separately. And the students who had spent 2 months making my previous life unbearable eventually apologized. I accepted their apologies. But I never became friends with them again. I had already learned the most important lesson. Sometimes the best revenge isn't destroying someone. It's stepping aside and letting them reveal exactly who they are. And this time, when Sasha tried to drag me down with her, I simply let go. Sasha thought the story was over once the school expelled her. She was wrong. I wasn't interested in forgiving her. I wanted every consequence she had earned to land exactly where it belonged. The disciplinary hearing wasn't enough. Her parents tried to hire a lawyer and argue that Sasha had only been trying to improve everyone's academic performance. That excuse lasted until the police recovered the messages between Sasha and the vendor. Then they found the payment records. Sasha had transferred money to him 3 separate times. The first payment was for the energy drinks. The second was for the bottles she had secretly taken into the school. The third was labeled, "Make sure Willow gets one." When I saw the document, I couldn't help smiling. Sasha had been so careful about everything except leaving evidence behind. At the next hearing, her father slammed his hand against the table. My daughter made one stupid mistake. I looked at him. One. He glared at me. I pulled out another piece of evidence. The security footage shows her taking my backpack. The flask was sealed when I gave it to Mr. Gould. When Sasha returned it, the seal had been broken. Sasha's face crumbled. Her father turned toward her. You told me you never touched her bag. I didn't mean to. You lied to me? She started crying. I almost laughed. That was the first time I saw Sasha realize that nobody was coming to save her. Not her friends. Not her parents. Not even the classmates she had convinced to hate me. Then came the retest. The school gave everyone affected by the drinks another opportunity to take the SAT. I walked into the testing center with my coffee, my admission ticket, and a brand new pencil case. Sasha wasn't there. She had been barred from taking the test until the investigation was resolved. When the results came out, I scored near the top of the entire district. The students who had mocked me were scattered across the rankings. Some did well, some didn't. But one thing was certain. Nobody blamed me anymore. Then, the messages started appearing in our class group chat. I owe Willow an apology. Same. I shouldn't have called you selfish. I was stupid for drinking that thing. I read every message. Then, I typed one sentence. You don't owe me anything. Just don't make the same mistake again. I put my phone down. I wasn't interested in rebuilding the class. I was interested in rebuilding my own life. Then, 3 days later, I received an email from the police. They had found something else. The vendor had confessed. Sasha hadn't approached him randomly. Someone had introduced them. And that person wasn't Sasha. I stared at the name attached to the report. My stomach tightened. Carl Lester, our homeroom teacher. I reread it twice. Carl had warned everyone about the drinks. He had acted suspicious of Sasha. He had even taken my backpack. But according to the vendor, Carl had been the one who initially asked about a substance that could temporarily interfere with memory. I immediately contacted the investigator. Are you sure? Yes, he said. But we need to establish why. I sat there staring at my screen. Then I remembered something. Carl had left the classroom shortly after warning us. He had claimed he needed to make a phone call. And that was exactly when Sasha had offered to hold my backpack. What if Sasha hadn't been acting alone? I pulled out the original security footage I had saved. I watched it again. Carl left. Sasha followed. Then they disappeared around the corner. I zoomed in. Sasha wasn't carrying anything, but when she came back, she was holding my bag. I froze. There was something else. Carl had been standing behind the building, watching her. I immediately sent the footage to the investigator. The next morning, Carl was removed from the school. By Friday, the truth was out. Sasha had wanted me to fail. Carl had helped her find the product, but the vendor had never intended for the drinks to become a school-wide disaster. Sasha had pressured him to sell them to the entire class because she wanted everyone affected. She wanted the SAT scores dragged down so badly that nobody could compete with me. Carl had agreed because Sasha had promised him money. The same teacher who had spent months telling us to work hard had been secretly helping students cheat their way to the top. And now, everything collapsed. Sasha's parents were furious. The school board opened an investigation into Carl. The vendor faced criminal charges. And Sasha? She had to sit in front of a room full of students and admit what she had done. I watched from the back. Her voice shook. I wanted Willow to fail. Nobody moved. I hated that she always got the highest grades. She looked at me. I thought if everyone used the drink, nobody would be able to outperform me. I smiled. You could have just studied. Her face twisted. Twisted. I tried. No. I leaned forward. You wanted the result without earning it. Sasha looked down. The room was completely still. Then the principal announced her final punishment. Expulsion. Permanent academic misconduct record. And referral to law enforcement for her involvement in distributing the unregulated substance. Sasha burst into tears. But this time, I didn't feel sorry for her. I stood up and walked out. Outside, the afternoon sun was bright. My phone buzzed. It was my college acceptance letter. I opened it. Accepted. Full academic scholarship. I stared at the screen. Then I laughed. Sasha had spent months trying to steal my future. Instead, she had handed me the perfect reason to protect it. I put my phone away and walked home. Halfway there, another notification appeared. It was from an unknown number. One sentence. You think Sasha was the mastermind? I stopped walking. A second message appeared. Ask her where she got the formula. I stared at the screen. Then I smiled. Apparently, Sasha's punishment wasn't the end of the story. It was only the beginning. I went straight to the police with the anonymous messages. They questioned Sasha again. At first, she refused to speak. Then they showed her the evidence they had recovered from her phone. Her face went white. She finally admitted the truth. She hadn't created the memory-blocking drink. Someone had approached her weeks before the SAT. They told her it would make students temporarily forget what they studied. Sasha saw an opportunity. She paid them to make enough bottles for the entire class. But she wasn't the mastermind. The person behind it was a private tutoring company desperate to manipulate SAT results and sell an expensive memory enhancement program afterward. Sasha had been their perfect pawn. The police arrested the people involved. Sasha's expulsion became permanent, and she faced criminal charges for distributing the drink and deliberately tampering with my coffee. Her little clique abandoned her completely. The same people who once called me selfish now wouldn't even answer her messages. Then, my SAT results came back. I scored even higher than I had in my previous life. I received multiple college offers and accepted the one I had always dreamed about. On graduation day, Sasha wasn't there. Her name had been removed from the class rankings. Her desk was empty. I stood on stage as valedictorian and looked across the auditorium. For a moment, I remembered my previous life. The bullying, the accusations, the 18th floor window. All because I had tried to protect people who didn't want my help. I smiled. This time, I hadn't saved them. I had saved myself. After the ceremony, I walked outside and found Sasha waiting near the gates. She looked exhausted. Willow. I stopped. She swallowed. I ruined everything. Yes, I said. Her eyes filled with tears. Can you forgive me? I shook my head. No. She stared at me. I smiled. But I hope you learn from it. Then I walked away. I wasn't letting go. I wasn't forgiving her. I simply had something better to do. I had a future to live. And Sasha would have to live with what she had done. The drama didn't end with Sasha's expulsion. 2 weeks before graduation, the tutoring company tried to destroy me. They released an edited recording claiming I had known about the energy drink from the beginning and deliberately allowed my classmates to drink it so I could beat them on the SAT. The clip spread through the school within hours. People started whispering again. Then I laughed. They had made the same mistake Sasha made. They assumed I had nothing. I uploaded the complete recording. It showed Sasha forcing the bottle into my hands at the testing center. It showed me refusing. Then I uploaded the security footage of her taking my backpack. Finally, I posted the laboratory report proving the drink contained an unapproved compound capable of temporarily interfering with memory. The school's official account shared it. The police investigation followed. Within 48 hours, the tutoring company deleted its statement. Their executives were arrested. And Sasha discovered that the people she had trusted had been using her from the beginning. She had wanted to ruin me. Instead, she had helped expose an entire cheating operation. At graduation, my classmates stood and applauded when my name was announced. I looked toward the empty seat where Sasha should have been. Then I turned away. I didn't need her to regret anything. I didn't need her apology. I had already gotten something better. My life back. Epilogue. 10 years later, I was invited back to my old school as a guest speaker. I walked through the same hallway where Sasha had once stood on a chair, promising everyone that her miracle drink would guarantee high scores. The classroom had been renovated. The desks were different. The walls were different. But I still remember that day. After my speech, a student approached me. Is it true you knew the drink was dangerous and still let everyone take it? I smiled. I tried to warn them once. What happened? They didn't believe me. The student frowned. So, what did you do the second time? I looked toward the classroom window. I stopped trying to control other people's choices. Then I added. But when someone tried to hurt me, I made sure they couldn't hide what they had done. The student nodded thoughtfully. As I walked away, my phone buzzed. An old news notification had appeared. Sasha Jepsen had completed her sentence and was working under a different name in another city. I read it once, then deleted the notification. Some people spend their whole lives trying to escape the consequences of their worst decision. I didn't. I simply made sure mine was never my last. And when I left that school for the final time, I didn't look back. Because this time, there was no 18th floor waiting for me. There was only the future.